Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. I hope each and every one of you are doing well. And basically, this is essentially a pre-2022 election night live stream discussion, basically our clown show edition. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a discussion about the upcoming election. Well, we pretty much know it's going to be a Republican night of gloating. There's going to be plenty of gloating by the Republicans, and we know that for a fact. And right now, we know how the Democrats are going to respond, and pretty much it will be the launching pad for the 2024 presidential election. So, gosh, I just wish that we could be like it is in other countries where you have an election, and then it's every couple of years, and then if there's a crisis of no confidence in the government, they're forced to have another election, and you do that sort of thing, and you have public financings of the candidates of all the parties, not just the two big ones, but of all the political parties. Give them free airtime, and do old-fashioned methods of voting, no electronic machines. Go in there where the poll workers are at. They give you a big piece of paper. You mark an X on your candidate. Preferably, you use ranked choice voting. But even if you use the winner-take-all system, as we currently use, have as much free party competition and make it as fair for all political parties to be heard as possible. So at least a third party can make it through the system. Even though you'll still have two, if we do it the way they do it in Canada or in the UK, or if we could do it ideally the way they do it in places like France and places like that, where I like the idea of having two rounds, like for the presidency, they have two rounds of elections, like they did in Brazil recently. Anyway. I like to see some serious changes done to the way we elect our political figures in this country, because I despise the electoral system, the way it's set up. I really despise the way we do things, because it keeps things the way it is, in a way that makes me really angry. Because the system we have, it was not necessarily its intention, the way it was drafted, but the consequences is that it favors wealthy candidates first and foremost, and then it perpetuates the pointless culture war narratives, where that is focused on, and important subjects, important matters are always considered not just secondary, but way in the back seat. And things that should be last comes first. Bailouts for banks, bailouts for insurance companies, bailouts in terms of foreign military aid in other countries. That money is always there for that. But money for the people in the United States, we can never afford that. Heavens forbid doing anything for the American people. Oh my God. Oh gosh, that sounds like socialism. But that's the system is kept that way. And not to be too partisan about it, and I have explained this to people many times, and I do believe that the two-party system in itself is why everything sucks. I mean, and the status quo sucks. And I think that's pretty much, no matter where you come from politically in your ideology. I mean, if you're down the line Democrat, if you're down the line, even if you're down the line Republican, if you're, or if you're, if you're on the real left, or you're whatever you are politically, if you want to know why things just always sucks, and I could, and I could just scapegoat it to basically one human being right at this point. And I've said this, and I said that no matter who's the president, no matter which political party is in power in the White House, no matter which political party is the majority in Congress, no matter where the populist sentiment is in terms of what the will of the people would be, even if it favors the left, nothing can get done in this country in a positive way because of this motherfucker. Mitch McConnell is the status quo. Mitch McConnell, I blame Mitch McConnell currently for why the country is garbage. Even a Senate minority leader, having Chuck Schumer as the majority leader, he's just an empty vessel. This guy's still calling all the shots. I mean, he's calling all the shots. Nothing has effectively gotten done, and for some reason, there will be more than likely a bloodbath against the Democrats in a few days. Some kind of a bloodbath. And with the yes, I should mention that later on. And thank you, Tony C. Today it is the 167th birthday for Eugene Victor Debs. So happy birthday, Eugene Victor Debs. And I will, if I could remember it, I might mention that as a belated birthday sometime later on Twitter, sometime later on, So thank you for that. Regarding Mitch McConnell, though, I mean, he whatever Mitch McConnell wants, he gets, and it's frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating. Just nothing. I mean, when it comes to everything that Biden is doing, he may sit there. He may hold on. You got to see my equally ugly face when I do an impression of Mitch McConnell. So hold tight. Yeah, Mitch McConnell. Yeah. Whatever. We may paint a picture of Joe Biden as this crazy, radical, being influenced by socialists like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Elizabeth Warren. And Bernie Sanders and AOC and Elizabeth Warren are controlled opposition, by the way. They are controlled opposition. Bernie Sanders bend the knee. He's got the great policies, but he's ineffective. AOC is a sellout at this point, and Elizabeth Warren is perpetually a snake. But anyhow, regarding Mitch McConnell, they're bunch of socialists, and they're influencing Biden and Harris into making us a socialist country. And people believe this shit, even in spite of Mitch McConnell being, universally disliked by most people. About the only person I've ever heard say anything positive about Mitch McConnell would be the late Rush Limbaugh. I mean, Rush Limbaugh loved Mitch McConnell. And when I think of Mitch McConnell, I think of basically a more right-wing Bob Dole, or maybe a more socially moderate Jesse Helms as one person. That's not a compliment. That is not a compliment. So except that Bob Dole by today's standards, would be considered a Rockefeller Republican, whereas at one time, even though he may have never been to the level of Jesse Helms, Bob Dole was considered, pretty standard right wing. And today, by today's standards, someone like the late Bob Dole would be considered, a Rhino Republican. So, and basically, Hillary Clinton has kind of taken over the role as the Bob Dole, but for today. She's basically Bob Dole in a female pantsuit, but favors, abortion rights, and I guess she might be cool with same-sex marriage, but she turned out to be a TERF, but nobody ever calls her out on her TERFy statements when it came to her talking about the left placating to what they consider the transgender agenda. She made a statement earlier this year, some reference to that, and nobody will call her out on that or whatever. And when those who called out Tulsi Gabbard were right to call her out on it, they did it because they hated her, and she probably turned more into a toxic transphobe because of it. But someone like Hillary Clinton gets away with it, so go figure in that regard. So that's pretty much what's got to be said in that regard. But anyhow, what I would like to do is to start talking about some of the stuff that's going on politically here in the United States, and not necessarily connected with the election, and what's going on abroad with regard to Russia, Ukraine, which, it seems like almost daily we get closer and closer to World War III, because year 2022, we were 100 seconds to midnight, according to the doomsday clock. I can imagine how much closer we are than 100 seconds away at this point, considering what's going on right now. So, and of course, it looks like I didn't even realize that there was an election in Israel that sneaked up on us, and one of the biggest assholes that's ever served as prime minister in the history of Israel returned as the prime minister of Israel, and Benjamin Netanyahu. And not only did he return to power, he's returned to power with a super right-wing majority, the left within Israel, which there used to be a strong left in Israel, is pretty much destroyed, and there's hardly anything called left opposition in Israel. Found out that even the Labor Party, it has 4 seats in the Knesset, which is really sad, and there's not even, and Meretz is not even in there anymore. So this is bad news, very bad news. And I've been on this fence on the issue of BDS, but I'm beginning to I think I'm going to have to embrace BDS at this point, because if Israel, Israel's going to go and do this sort of thing, then they got some really shitty, evil people in their government right now. There's nothing anti-Semitic saying that. They're human beings, and human beings are capable of doing evil things. And as I said before, all nations have done evil things. And so you have to go and walk around eggshells on this issue, because you got to worry about people pointing fingers and saying, you're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semite, you said something mean about Israel. With that regard, I'm referring to shitty politicians that are doing evil things to the people in Israel, like the Palestinians, creating an open air prison, creating a discriminatory system. That's not every person who's Israeli doing this. There are Israelis who are against that sort of thing. And I've always said that those who are against the oppression against the Palestinians, those who are in solidarity with Palestinians, those people needs to be supported, but not the people who are engaging in oppression against the Palestinians. So that's another issue there. But anyway, we got to talk about the Pennsylvania race that's going on between Mehmet Oz and John Fetterman, because that to me, is probably one of the most important senatorial races right now in the country. As I said, I made it clear that in spite of not being a Democrat or nor a Republican for that matter, and being angry with the both parties, the only reason I would wish well for John Fetterman is that the Green Party is not on the ballot, and he is actually the most left-wing choice on the ballot in Pennsylvania. And I'm going to cover my first official story in a moment. But the election is very important in Pennsylvania, because I mean, he is, on paper, he is saying the right things. He's saying what needs to be said, and that's what we need to focus on. And labor law reforms that will expand labor unions, Medicare for all, that sort of thing. And he's saying what needs to be said. And people are using the stroke situation to basically try to get Mehmet Oz elected, and they're kind of being disingenuous. We'll be discussing that. But I think that maybe the first story that we should discuss, and I saw this a little while ago because it needs to be mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and let me find that clip. Let me find that clip real quick, because we're gonna discuss it momentarily. Where are you? Let's see. Here we go. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but what I can do is that when I'm done, I'm going to put it down as a link when I'm finished with the video tonight, so you can actually watch the whole story. I like to do that when I go ahead and do that sort of thing. So Briahna Joy Gray is what we're going to discuss right now. You remember Briahna Joy Gray? She was the national secretary press secretary for Bernie Sanders in 2020. She was the old school Bernie conscious, as far as I was concerned. I honest to God wish that she would.
Briahna Joy Gray.
Hold on, sorry. I jumped ahead. I'm sorry about that. We'll get back. I apologize about that. But anyway, we'll get to we're going to get to Briahna Joy Gray in a second. Yeah, spoiler alert is a Savvy Sabs clip of this story I'm about to tell you, that she's been attacked viciously, and it's horrible. I mean, they attacked her from the time she when Bernie Sanders dropped out. She was basically made it clear she wasn't going to support Joe Biden, and she turned out to be correct, because what did Joe Biden do? Jack shit. He did nothing. She was correct as to be one of the supporters of the Force the Vote movement, and she's been a very, very strong, eloquent voice in favor of critiquing Joe Biden from the left. And so, and she's been one of the best co-hosts on Rising. And unfortunately, she's about ready to exit out of Rising because of the shit that Katie Halper went through the cancel culture that was imposed on Katie Halper. So anyway, y'all know about that already. So this is about Briahna Joy Gray with regard to the Progressive Caucus letter calling for negotiations that was rescinded, and the State Department person that she interviewed and her reaction in the interview. And I'm going to play that, and I'm going to interrupt occasionally. And while I'm doing that, I am going to go and pick up a beer real quick. So if y'all can hold on a second, we will get to it. Give me a moment. Here we go. And by the way, subscribe to Sabby Sabs. I'm also going to leave a link for Sabby Sabs. She's popular, but I still, in spirit, want to help everybody when it comes to the cause, and she's got a great program, so please do subscribe to her program. And I will go ahead and play the clip right now.
Briahna Joy Gray, oh yeah. Where do I begin? Has not been having a good past 48 hours. Now, if you did not see the interview or what has been happening to her on Twitter, you are going to see this now. To make a long story short, Briahna Joy Gray interviewed a gentleman named Joe, I'll call him Joe C after his last name, who works for the State Department, I'll get to that in a second, about the Ukraine letter, the letter that was retracted, that the progressives wrote and signed and was pulled back. And I thought he did not advocate for his side well. Like, I thought that he just sounded like he was making State Department talking points. Typical, right? So first, I'm going to show you what was said. This is the clip that got everybody fired up. So I'm going to show you this video clip here of the interview. His name is Joe Ciracione. This is the video that made people come after her. This clip in particular. So let's listen to this, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll get to everything else that has transpired since then. So here we go.
They're stealing Ukrainian children. 500 just yesterday were shipped to Russia. And this is why we should be supporting them. We cannot allow this kind of evil to go unchecked, just on a basic moral reason. I mean, don't you agree with that?
I'm sorry, I don't. And here's
why. Why?
There are gangs that have overtaken Haiti. There is a cholera pandemic that was started by the UN. UN members raped Haitians. A third of Pakistan was underwater. Should we go, due to the climate crisis, should we go and invade China? Because...
Let me go back to this point, because there's one part. Okay.
They're stealing Ukrainian children. 500 just yesterday were shipped to Russia. And this is why we should be supporting them. We can't.
Okay. The part that people are pointing to, and it's a lot of trolls, the part that people are pointing to is the part where she rolled her eyes. What they're saying on Twitter is that she rolled her eyes about genocide. Obviously, she was rolling her eyes about the trope that he made about the children. And we hear this all the time when people say, but what about the women and the children? And the point that she's going to make here is that it seems like there's only certain types of women and children they tend to claim to care about. And she's 100% correct. Because what about the women and children in Haiti? What about the women and children in Somalia? What about the women and children in Yemen? What about the women and children in Afghanistan? You don't hear that same type of sympathy and compassion for the women and the children when they're in countries where the people are people of color. You don't hear about it. Most people I talk to don't even know about what's happening to people in Somalia. Most people I talk to don't even know where Yemen is located. You see the problem? So she's 100% right about that. Let's go on.
Yes, and she's correct. I mean, and it's really even among a lot of the people who are self-proclaimed progressive types that to overlook what goes on in the third world, in places like Haiti, in places like Yemen, and they do take an exception in regard to Palestine, and that's good. But what about places like Yemen, where the United States is indirectly contributing to a genocide? You never really hear anybody address it. I mean, in the mainstream, you never hear about it. Nor Haiti. You never hear anybody talk about Haiti, one of the poorest countries in the world. Poorest, definitely the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. A country that's been taken advantage of and fucked over, and the United States are even less tolerant of Haitians coming to the United States than even the people from Central America, as you can imagine. So I mean, this is what we're talking about, and it's because people in Ukraine are well, white. I mean, like white. I mean, and it just, I mean, like European style white in a way that people view white, and that's basically what it comes down to. And so there is kind of an unspoken racism on that question, and so Briahna Joy Gray was absolutely correct to roll her eyes on this man here from the State Department, who kind of looks like Glenn Beck when Glenn Beck was skinny. So I mean, anyway, as I said, and Briahna Joy Gray gets so much damn abuse. I mean, it's like it angers me, the amount of abuse that she gets all the time. So when she's essentially right on a lot of policy questions. But anyway, let's continue.
Cannot allow this kind of evil to go unchecked, just on a basic moral reason. I mean, don't you agree with that?
I'm sorry, I don't. And here's
Okay,
why.
Why?
There are gangs that have overtaken Haiti. There is a cholera pandemic that was started by the UN. UN members raped Haitians. A third of Pakistan was underwater. Should we go, due to the climate crisis, should we go and invade China because Uyghurs are in concentration camps? Tell me, articulate. This is the question I asked Matt Duss when this war first started.
Uyghurs in China. And here's the ironic part. There's a lot of neoconservatives from the Bush-Cheney era that their hearts bleed for the Uyghurs in China all of a sudden. And here's the irony that the Uyghurs in China, who are a Muslim group predominantly, and some of them do embrace a more radical element that may be sympathetic to Al-Qaeda, and the Chinese government have a concern about that. And I'm not excusing what the Chinese government's doing to the Uyghurs. In fact, I oppose any government that subjugates any group of people anywhere in the world, any group of people being signaled out. But I'm talking about the hypocrisy of what I call the Bush-Cheney neocons, the Bush-Cheney era neocons. The John Bolton types all of a sudden has concern for the Muslim that they otherwise will want to bomb back into the quote Stone Ages. So they want to go and nuke the hell out of a place like Iran or someplace like that, or do an invasion of Iran the way they did the 2003 invasion of Iraq. But with the Uyghurs in China, all of a sudden their hearts are become compassionate, sort of like in the 1980s when they were backing, the Reagan administration were backing the rebels in Afghanistan over the Soviets. Again, I'm no tanky. I think that anybody who knows me will tell you that, but I have said this was my position at the time, and this is kind of more or less my position now. I oppose the U.S. In Afghanistan all these years, and while I'm not a tanky, I do think that the Soviets were the good guys in Afghanistan in the 1980s, and the Reagan administration's efforts actually did cause 9/11 to happen down the road. And I know that's not a popular thing to say, and it's not just quote unquote blame America first left-wing person that's obviously getting his news from the gray zone type. No. This Ron Paul has said something very similar to this, which is why for a few years Ron Paul was demonized by the Republican establishment. So point I'm trying to say is that this is what they do. The narrative is to go and demonize people when they engage in some truth telling, and and again, the military industrial complex had their hand in this, because I mean, with the broken promise in 1991, when the Soviet Union ceased to exist, we made a promise with Russia that these countries in Eastern Europe would not join NATO. And between Bill Clinton and George W. Bush, little by little, all these motherfucking countries in the Middle East, in Eastern Europe, started joining NATO. And then, just again, I'm not saying I'm a fan of Vladimir Putin, but I'm definitely not a fan of President Zelensky of Ukraine either. I'm not a fan of any government that shuts down 11 political parties or or anything like that, or allow Nazis to vandalize gay bars, or to shut down trade unions, or allow neo-Nazis to run around freely in the military. And this is the sort of thing that is going on in the Ukraine. And if you say that, all of a sudden, you're a Putin apologist. No, I'm not a Putin apologist, but I am not going to go and hold water for Zelensky either. And speaking of gray zone, First Lady, what's her name? The First Lady, his wife, Zelenska, what? I cannot think of her name at the moment. Zelensky's wife basically made demands to the Web Summit in Lisbon, Portugal, to ban the gray zone, for example. And you have Zelensky demanding for the U.S. government to go and to put Rand Paul, whatever you may think of Rand Paul, and put Tulsi Gabbard. And I am very critical of Tulsi Gabbard these days, trust me. But put her on a blacklist, and put Glenn Greenwald on a blacklist, and put these people on a blacklist. Who the fuck another head of a country is to tell the United States government to put somebody on a blacklist? And then you have a right-wing website in Ukraine basically having a to-kill list of, okay, I agree, Henry Kissinger is a son of a bitch, but I don't think he should be put on a to-kill list, but he's calling for negotiation. So that's bad enough for this. I cannot think of the name of the website, but they're calling for him to be murdered. They're calling for Roger Waters, the former member of Pink Floyd, to be murdered, and I heard that Chris Hedges is on that list too now. So, but the point I'm trying to make is that this is what we're sitting there enabling, and we're saying $40 billion, and earlier this year, and God knows how much since then, but we don't have money for healthcare. We don't have money for water in Mississippi, for clean water in Mississippi, to do some basic infrastructure repairs to our crumbling infrastructure, which needs to be taken care of. Sorry if I'm sounding like Kyle Kulinski at the moment, but I mean, he tells the truth in that regard. A point I'm trying to make is that's what needs to be addressed. But we're so focused on this Ukraine thing, and it didn't have to work out the way it did. And I think about this daily, that we could die tomorrow. Even a one little short range tactical nuke in a city somewhere in Ukraine, or in Russia, or in Western Europe, or in the United States is a game changer, even if there's another one drop on either side. And that would be the least bad of any scenario if there's a nuclear war. and God knows what it's going to do to the economies around the world and for political instability everywhere. So we're playing with dynamite, folks. We are. I'm fucking scared right now. So we'll let this continue, and then we'll get to the next story momentarily. So just a few more minutes of this and a little more comment, and we'll get to the next story.
Until you can articulate to me what the rationale is behind where America intervenes and where it doesn't, and give me some kind of moral accounting that makes me believe that it's actually about moral commitments and realizing how much of our money and our resources in the richest country in the world can go to saving lives and increasing the quality of life for the most people, as opposed to a strategic military intervention for territory, resources, and political control. If you can articulate to me why this is truly the most deserving humanitarian case on the planet, as opposed to a continuation of these Cold War policies, we want our economic system, our oppressive, by the way, economic system to maintain global dominance, then I can start to entertain a conversation about what our intervention should be, how long, and how much. But there is nowhere in the entire public sphere that conversation is actually happening, and nowhere close to a rationalization that's been presented.
Okay.
And also, let me say, again, she needs no help from me, but I would say also subscribe to Briahna Joy Gray. Subscribe to her broadcast, Bad Faith. I'm just irritated by the demonization of this young lady. She's a fiery truth teller, and it's just a damn shame that that she's been demonized, and she did say this, and it's true. I would have defended her this week, but I haven't streamed that much this week, and that's my legitimate excuse. But she said a lot of people on the online left have not, with very few exceptions, and that is something worth noting. So I just wanted to note that. Now let's talk about the Pennsylvania race that's going to take place in a few days between John Fetterman and Mehmet Oz. I mean, you think about what happened with that really horrible debate, and it frankly it was pretty damn bad. I mean, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. It was pretty bad what happened to him. So you have a stroke. It takes a while. It takes a while to recuperate, and so what he went through, just and having people not showing, well, how should I word this? Let's see, how do I need to word this? Because well, let's see. I'm trying to think how I'm going to word this here. Point I'm trying to make is that with this debate, well, you have to see for yourself. So, this is from like 10 days ago. Hold on a second here. This is like from 10 days ago. So, this is from Secular Talk. And the thing about Secular Talk is, for many years, I've been a fan. And of the heavyweights on the online left, I would say that he may still be better than the rest. But the problem with Secular Talk is Kyle's becoming a Biden bro. I need to keep it real. I mean, the cheerleading for him is just a bit much. and I just can't deal with it. I just can't deal with it anymore. It's like, so I don't listen to Kyle as much as I used to, but I did listen to this, and if I remember correctly with this video, this is before he did that ridiculous hair dye job. So I'm going to go ahead and play this and give you my take on the John Fetterman Oz debate, and Kyle's take and my take on his take on their take on the debate. So let me set everything up, and we will, yeah, we got everything set up. So we'll get started then. So.
All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Wednesday, October 26th, 2022. I have way too much stuff for you today. So we had Fetterman versus Oz last night, their one and only debate before the election. And from that alone, I have like 8 different clips, and there's quite a bit to say about it. So have the night go. That's my only answer. All right, so I'll save that for just a minute. I'll lead with that story. Then we also
don't do that, Kyle. Don't go again. Don't go again. That's not cool.
Have, of course, weaselly progressives managing to piss off basically everybody in the country. They pulled this political stunt where they did something good, and then they were like, "No, we shouldn't do good things. Good things are bad." So we retract the good thing that we did. Okay, all right. I have a lot to say about that, as you may expect. Then I also have Ron DeSantis versus Charlie Crist. They had a debate the other night, and look, a little bit of some shocking results on that one. A little bit of that going on. A little bit of I don't know why they make. I don't know why it's dolphin noises that apparently went on at the debate, but there are dolphin noises like
don't do that.
God, I just got so much stuff today. The View versus Ted Cruz. We got Jon Stewart versus the Arizona Attorney General, who's a hilariously stupid election denier. And that's not even all of it. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. So last night was Dr. Oz versus Fetterman, and it's their one and only debate. And let's not sugarcoat it here. It didn't go very well for Fetterman. Now, the reason it didn't go very well for Fetterman, I think it's fair to say, is literally just medical. Like, dude had a stroke 5 months ago, and he's having trouble articulating his thoughts. He's having trouble getting full, coherent sentences out.
That's actually fair in that regard. He did have a stroke, and that's actually a fair assessment. And it doesn't make you totally useless for the job. And as I said, you know, there's no alternative other than him. He is the left-wing alternative. He's not just a standard Democrat. He's actually good on paper. Now I'm going to give you my take. Now, having that said, if he comes into the U.S. Senate and he turns out to be Elizabeth Warren, or if he's even good on policy that like Bernie Sanders, but you know, bend the knee the way Bernie Sanders bends the knee, then what's the use to get elected? I will say that much. But I will say that if somehow on election night John Fetterman wins, I will say that it will be a preferable outcome to Mehmet Oz. And I will say that with Mehmet Oz, I don't like the man. I think he's Mehmet Oz. He's a snake oil salesman. Okay. But would Mehmet Oz would he be Ted Cruz or Tom Cotton or some other piece of shit like that? No, I don't think he's that far right. I mean, he's too right wing for me. I think he's too right wing for most people in my audience, obviously. He might even be too far right for even your standard Democrat. But would he be Ted Cruz? No, I don't think he'd be as far gone as a Ted Cruz, or as far gone as I don't even think he'd be as far gone as Marco Rubio. But he'd be but he would still rubber stamp Mitch McConnell's agenda, which would be bad enough, because anything that's going to make Mitch McConnell's job easier is always bad news for working class people in this country. Not that Chuck Schumer is any better in any meaningful way, but definitely Mitch McConnell is a strong obstacle to progress. But we'll continue.
So look, I'll save my overall conclusion until the end, but we got a whole bunch of clips here to get through. So let's start with Fetterman's opening statement. This is what he said right off the bat.
Sherry Beasley backed their big...
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, Sherry Beasley's running for the Senate. That's a commercial for her in North Carolina. And I'm not voting for her on election day. I'm voting for Matthew Hoh. And we're going to talk about Matthew Hoh in a little bit. So, oh, God. No. I need to do something about this. Sorry about these damn commercials. Here we go. Give me a second. Okay, here we go.
Look, I'll save my overall conclusion until the end, but we got a whole bunch of clips here to get through. So let's start with Fetterman's opening statement. This is what he said right off the bat.
Let's also talk about the elephant in the room. I had a stroke. He's never let me forget that. And I might miss some words during this debate, push two words together, but it knocked me down, but I'm going to keep coming back up. And this campaign is all about, to me, is about fighting for everyone in Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down, that needs to get back up, and fighting for all forgotten communities all across Pennsylvania that also got knocked down, that needs to get back up.
Yeah, so you could already see a little bit there, the struggling to get through it coherently. But, I mean, before the debate, his team set expectations low, and they were like, just so you know, he had a stroke, he's going to misspeak, This is like a lot of transparency for somebody in this current situation right after they had a stroke. This isn't a cognitive issue. It's more of a articulation issue, but set that bar in the basement, son. Like, set it down. So his campaign was saying that beforehand, and then at the very beginning of the debate, Fetterman goes out there and he basically does the same thing and says, yeah, look, I had a stroke. It's the elephant in the room. But when I got knocked down, I'm going to keep getting back up. Oz didn't let me forget that I had a stroke. So honestly, from a strategy perspective, I think this was a good move. I think it was good for the campaign to set the bar super low. I think it's great for him to reiterate at the beginning of the debate that bar super duper duper low. And again, you'll see why that was absolutely necessary. So now let's go to Dr. Oz. This is one of the clips that stumbled across my feed last night. Here he is talking about the minimum wage.
Do you support raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour? Why or why not? You have 60 seconds.
I think market forces have already driven up the minimum wage. I was with a hotel worker actually here in Harrisburg a few months ago, and he was telling me how hard it was to live on the $15 an hour that he was getting paid. John Fetterman shoots too low. We want much more money than that. And there are many ways to achieve that, but John Fetterman thinks the minimum wage is his weekly allowance from his parents.
So that last line is just a petty shot at Fetterman. It's, the standard right-wing argument of, loser, you're a loser. You live with your parents. By the way, there's like a colossal chunk of people in this country who are struggling, can't make ends meet, and they live with their parents. You want to alienate all of those people in one sentence?
Yeah, and John Fetterman should have shot back up with a lot of the wealthy people and the privileged people in this country live off the inheritance of their parents and grandparents and all of that too. That would have been also a great comeback as well.
Well, congratulations, Dr. Oz. That's what you did. So that's the end part. But the beginning part, I don't know if you caught it. He said, basically, like, market forces have already kind of raised the minimum wage if you really think about it, bro. It's market forces. It's nobody's making $7.25 anymore, bro. What the fuck are you talking about, son? Ain't no market forces raising the minimum wage. If we got rid of the minimum wage and had pure market forces run the economy, there would be some people making like $3 an hour.
I've heard that argument before. I've heard the Ben Shapiro's out there making that argument. I've heard a lot of conservatives that they got owned on this thing about the socialism thing when Bernie Sanders ran in 2016, 2020. When prior, if you were arguing for socialism, they'll be like, "Oh, you just want the country to be like Cambodia under Pol Pot, Khmer Rouge, or something like that, or North Korea." It's something really outlandish. So, but here's the thing. When they realize how, in the West, where socialism has actually made a positive difference in people's lives, in particularly in Europe and other places around the world, they'll turn the argument around and tell you that Norway and Sweden and many of these European countries are not socialist. They're just capitalist countries with stronger labor unions and a welfare state and universal health care. And that they have they have free trade policies and all of this sort of thing. Well, those free trade policies work better in those countries than it does here because they have things like universal health care, which puts a curb on medical inflation. In other words, the companies don't have to worry about paying people their health benefits because it's a governmental responsibility. So it gives companies that competitive edge so that they can deal more in the global economy better than they can here in the United States. It costs less money to open up a factory in France than it does here in the United States. As hard as it is to believe that, it is true. It costs less money to open up a factory in France or in Switzerland or in Germany or in any other country in Europe than it would here in the United States because of the fact that you don't have to worry about the healthcare costs because that is a governmental responsibility in those countries where we haven't even caught up anywhere even close to that. And then when they go and try to talk about the minimum wage, people like Ben Shapiro and people like that will talk about, well, they don't have the minimum wage in places like Sweden or Ben Shapiro, they don't have the minimum wage in Sweden. And what they do is they then negotiate between the company and the workers. Well, in Sweden, the only reason that they can survive without a minimum wage in Sweden is that the unions are almost universal within the economy of Sweden, where it is 90% plus participation of unions in the workforce. You compare that to less than 10% of the workforce here in the United States. Unions are almost non-existent in the United States. So what Ben Shapiro wants, he wants that system where there's no minimum wage like it is in Sweden, but keep the current system we have where unions are almost non-existent. So, in other words, keep what's shitty about the United States and eliminate what would make things what prevents things from making things shittier, in other words. That's my point I'm trying to make. So anyway, we'll let this continue. Who are
you kidding? There are plenty of people who make millions of people make $7.25 an hour. But I love what he's doing is a trick there. He's trying to say, who, me? Bro, I don't want anybody to even make the minimum wage. I want you to make above the minimum wage. I mean, somebody told me it was hard to live on $15 an hour. I want everybody to make way above that, bro. Okay, do you have a plan where that can be the case? Of course not. In fact, his plan would facilitate the exact opposite of that. Which, by the way, if you do want to have an economy where nobody makes the minimum wage at all, period, and perhaps you wouldn't even need a minimum wage in this particular kind of system, do sectoral bargaining. There's some Scandinavian countries that have it, and it is true that in those systems, nobody makes a minimum wage, and there isn't a minimum wage because unions negotiate for everybody's wages, and everybody happens to do well under that system. So is that what you want, Dr. Oz? No, of course, he's hostile to unions. So this line right here is just a lie. It's just a total lie. Market forces have already kicked in. It sounds like a Dave Rubin answer. The market forces, they'll kick in, and it just works, and then good things happen. What? That's not at all true. It's nowhere near true. Market forces in this instance are the enemy. What do market forces give us? Well, externalities is one thing. Pollution. If we leave everything up to market forces, we have child labor tomorrow. Market forces. What are you talking about? How ridiculous is that answer? But again, it's a political trick because he's trying to say, this guy only wants you to make 15 an hour. Me, bro, I want you to make way above 15, bro. I want you to make way above 15, bro. Above 15, bro. Market forces, bro. Oh, what a scumbag. What a total scumbag. It's just, they're so gross. It's just gross. It's gross. In their system, everybody would make less. No doubt about it. All right, next. Now, Fetterman explains why he supports raising the federal minimum wage. The substance of the answer is good. On the policy stuff, it's good. But you'll see he's gonna struggle to get through it.
Okay. If you want to watch the rest, of that, I can likewise leave a link and all will be well in that regard. But I mean that video is a little bit better from Kyle than what he's been doing lately. The video where he's defending AOC was pretty damn bad. I covered it. I was really, really disappointed with that one because yeah, I mean, I can understand criticizing Tulsi Gabbard, but AOC was, you know, she's sitting there and basically just defending the administration's policies. And I guess that I guess there's a little bit of fear and trembling. It could very well be that what could happen. But she came in there to raise a ruckus, and you know, just and she's not raising a ruckus anymore, and it's just you know, horrible, just horrible what's happened and everything. So I'm just really perplexed by this whole thing and all of that. So let's see here. Another one that we're going to show. Let's talk about, let's see here. There was an election in Brazil. We all know what happened with the election in Brazil. Lula da Silva defeated Jair Bolsonaro. Wonderful development, really wonderful development and everything. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play, let's see. Well, let's see here. There was
So everyone,
hold on a second. Okay, hold on a second here. A program I've been listening to lately is called Do Dissidents with Keaton Weiss and Russell Dibler. I'm going to urge you to subscribe to their program as well. They new online left program, and they, you know, they did a video a few days ago with regard to Lula's victory in Brazil, and they've been clearing up a misnomer. And whatever you think of Glenn Greenwald, and there are things about Glenn Greenwald that I don't like, but there's things about Glenn Greenwald that I do like. And what I do like about Glenn Greenwald, I profoundly do like. And I know he's contrarian in a lot of ways, and I just think that that's just his style. But there are allegations being made against him that's just so beyond the pale and so untrue. It's like, how in the hell can people sit there and believe this about Glenn Greenwald? It's one thing to accuse Glenn Greenwald of being pro-Trump. I don't think he's pro-Trump, but it's one thing to accuse him of that. It is entirely something else. The man lives in Brazil. It's entirely something else to accuse him of being pro Jair Bolsonaro. But people went there. People accused him of being pro Jair Bolsonaro. Spoiler alert: Lula da Silva will be returning as president of Brazil very soon because of Glenn Greenwald, not in spite of Glenn Greenwald. And that's a spoiler alert. I'm going to go ahead and play the video clip from Do Dissidents. Is a Twitter battle going on between David Dole from the Rational National and Glenn Greenwald. I will say this about David Dole. I used to listen to David Dole a little bit. I got tired of him real quick because he sounded like a very dry Canadian Kyle Kulinski commenting on American politics. I know he's one of the good guys in Canada with the New Democratic Party in Canada. And if you're not Canadian, you don't know what the New Democratic Party is. The New Democratic Party is the party of the political left in Canada. If you're on the left in Canada, okay, the political makeup like this, as far as mainstream parties are concerned. If you're in the United States, this is your ideology, and you're going into Canada, this is what you choose for your ideology. If you're Canadian, if you live in Canada and you're a standard Democrat here in the United States, and you think that Pete Buttigieg is the best thing since sliced bread, and Barack Obama is a rock star, and Beto O'Rourke is just wonderful, and you think that you just think that Hillary Clinton was a better person than Bernie Sanders in 2016, and that Elizabeth Warren was like a better Bernie in 2020. Then the Liberal Party's for you, and you look at someone like Justin Trudeau and be like, hey, great prime minister. That's the Liberal Party. If you're a Republican, but even if you're a hard right-wing Republican, you may not like the fact that the conservatives in Canada are a little more secular and are more like a old line conservatives here in the past in the United States, very center right and secular. But that's what you'll get in Canada, because the center right in other countries are not as insane as they are here in the United States. Probably the only country I can think of right now offhand, there's a few places where the center, what's supposed to pass for the center right will be as insane, if not more so, than the Republicans. I'll say that Viktor Orbán, or whatever his name is in Hungary, would be one of them. I would say that the Likud party in Israel may probably be another, where they're just like cuckoo crazy right wing. But in Canada, the Conservative Party are basically just, milquetoast conservative and everything. But that's your choice. If you live in Canada, if you're a conservative, if you're a Republican type, that would be your party. You could join the Libertarians in Canada, I guess, and there are some smaller right-wing parties that doesn't have that much influence. If you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, an AOC supporter, I like one of those that they're conned into believing that Bernie Sanders and AOC are fighting for you, but you're a true believer yourself, or if you're a hardcore leftist in street fighter here in the United States, the New Democratic Party of Canada would definitely be the party for you. It's the party where there's social democrats and democratic socialists and the left, basically. And it is the left-wing party. It's their official labor party. It's the party of the trade unions. It's the party of it's a third party. It's a strong third party, and it keeps the liberals from going too far right and being as shitty as the Democrats here. So that's how it is. And I'm going on and on and on and on and on. But the point is that David Dole would be with NDP. But here in the United States, he takes a strong, pardon the term, shit-lib positions. And so I'd rather for him to talk about Canadian politics. And I don't know why the hell I just went on and on and on about Canadian politics. But he got into it with Glenn Greenwald. And so the guys from Due Dissidence decided to talk about this. So let's go and play the video. All right. Take it away.
So everyone, last night was a big night for Brazil and the world as Lula da Silva defeated Jair Bolsonaro to retake the Brazilian presidency. And there was a lot of cause for celebration. However, a certain cohort of online libs became obsessed with taking this opportunity not to celebrate this great victory, but instead to troll Glenn Greenwald under the sort of false impression, the crazy impression that he must have been really upset at these results. And so here's an example of one of these threads involving Glenn Greenwald, Edward Snowden, and David Dole. So it starts out with a tweet from someone called the Fig Economy, whoever that is. So this evening, spare a thought for Glenn Greenwald and how bad he must feel at Bolsonaro's loss, and just fucking luxuriate in the thought of Greenwald being genuinely miserable. It's a fun thought.
Who the fuck is that anyway? Who is this?
We have no idea. But he had the honor of being quote tweeted by Edward Snowden, who picked up on his nonsense tweet there and said, Glenn Greenwald broke the story that freed Lula from prison. For that same reporting, Bolsonaro sought to put Greenwald in prison. He actually brought charges. today on this site, quote, Glenn must be so sad Bolsonaro lost and Lula won. So we had some replies here, blah, 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 but I recognize this one. Fellow YouTube commentator David Dole replies to Ed Snowden saying, guess you haven't paid too much attention to Greenwald recently. And Glenn wasn't going to let that go, so Glenn replied to David. Given that we talk quite frequently, he's well aware of exactly what I do. I'm sorry you've literally never accomplished anything in your life of any value but YouTube babbling, and therefore have to malign others who have taken risks to do so. But here's Lula himself in 2020. So he quotes Lula saying, I just have to thank the journalist Glenn Greenwald who managed to prove journalistically what my defense always denounced about Lava Jato. And Globo decided to ignore what The Intercept revealed in order to preserve the clay saint they created that is Moro. So there are some references there that you might not get unless you live in Brazil. But basically what Lula was saying is thanks to Greenwald for uncovering a sort of conspiracy between the Lava Jato movement and the mainstream media in order to trump up a bullshit case against me and throw me in jail. Thank you to Glenn Greenwald for helping get me out. Right? Yep. All right. So David does not address that at all in his response. And this is just so indicative.
Well, he can't. This is what they always do. That's what they always do. They ignore facts that don't fit what they're trying to establish.
Let's see what David Dole presents as counter evidence. A clip from the Jordan Sheridan show. Let's play this.
Here's Glenn on Tucker Carlson while Tucker Carlson tries to whitewash Bolsonaro.
But the question of American media is important here because Bolsonaro, no matter what you think of him, relies pretty much exclusively on American-owned tech platforms, Twitter specifically, to get his message out. Doesn't that make him totally vulnerable to censorship by American companies?
Well, he has been repeatedly censored by big tech platforms. He, when speaking about COVID, was often censored. When speaking about the upcoming election, is often censored. So Facebook and Google are essentially dictating to Brazilians what they can and can't hear, including from their own democratically elected president. And again, no matter what you think of Bolsonaro, you should have to think that that's a pretty serious problem. And I think it's a very similar dynamic to what has happened in the U.S., where the entire establishment essentially united against Trump. And so all these institutions that liberals and the left in the United States have long held with such contempt, neocons and the security state and corporate media, all united against Trump. And suddenly they were viewed with such favor by the American left and by American liberalism. That has happened to a large extent here. Brazilian leftists will now often talk about Globo, worst enemy of the Brazilian left, with a lot of media admiration. Yeah, it's the major media company that has become completely hostile to Bolsonaro because, again, Bolsonaro ran on a platform of anti-establishment challenge and defiance, and that's not what his government is, but just the rhetoric itself has made the establishment turn against him.
Putting aside, I can't speak for Glenn. Just because I'm criticizing Glenn, it doesn't erase done great journalism, won a Pulitzer, terrific reporting, obviously, on the NSA surveillance, his great reporting on Brazil and the corruption. Two things can be true at once. Somebody could...
Yes, Jordan. Don't forget that. Honestly.
Have journalistic skills and do great journalism and suddenly become a hack. So...
Okay, now, I don't want to get too sidetracked taking Jordan to task, but how does anything he said in that interview make him a hack? He didn't say anything hacky in that interview. He just lamented the censorship. He's anti-censorship. The left, this used to be something that only the libs dabbled in, and now much of the left is dabbling in this as well. They're so convinced that they are right about everything that they very much resent having to prove that they're right about something.
Right.
They would much rather censor the person who challenges them. And what Greenwald believes, even though we got into this on our stream last night, his politics are mostly left politics. He's not a self-described doctrinaire leftist, but if you go down the list, his politics are pretty left-wing. His husband is a socialist politician in Brazil, okay? And so it's not a matter of where his politics are. His politics are pretty much left politics, more or less, right? But he, like I, believes very strongly that everyone in a democracy, left, right, center, wherever, must be made to prove their case through argument, debate, and persuasion and engagement. No one gets to just declare by fiat that their opinion is correct and muzzle anyone who challenges them. That is what makes democracy function. The open discourse, free speech. And so to the extent that Glenn Greenwald was defending Bolsonaro there, he was defending his rights to a platform. Because even though Bolsonaro is wrong about 99% of what he says, he still has the right to express it, and it is still the responsibility of the left to prove that he's wrong. They cannot just put out there as a given that he is wrong, and therefore he does not have the right to say anything. That's not democracy. That's not democracy. And if you don't have that open discourse, then you have nothing. And Greenwald feels that very, very strongly. And I don't understand why people have such a tough time with that.
Well, everything said true. No disagreement at all. But the only thing to add as a caveat to that is that I will argue that the real left are still the free speech absolutists. I kind of bought into the game for a few years that it was something that was gone from the left, but it exists on the real left. The centrists, the normie Democrats, and even some lefty folks who there are some lefty folks that kind of walked away from it, and they do it at their own risk in many ways. But let's keep it real. At least those who are left-leaning, that are for censorship, will say this about them. At least they're honest. That's more honorable on their part than people who are right-wing who beat their chests, screaming real loud how fucking alpha they are, telling everybody that they're not snowflakes and they can handle anything, and they're the ones there for free speech, and how dare you take away my free speech, as they go and silence the left. And they would do everything they can to silence the left. You go and dare challenge, not every right-wing person, by the way, but many on the right. I'm going to get in a little bit of trouble here, but I will say this. I'm going to name some names. I'm going to give you two names, for example, of the kind of people out there. I'm going to give you two controversial names out there of people right now. Both are atrocious. I want to make it clear. They're both atrocious people. But one of the right-wing people I'm talking about, but one of them is honest that he favors censorship, and the other one is consistent and actually is kind of on record of actually favoring the free speech of the left, even though he's still kind of fucked up. I'll mention the one first that claims to be for free speech, but is not, and that's Dinesh D'Souza. As Elon Musk bought Twitter, and even prior to his buying of Twitter, I kept on seeing tweets on Twitter from Dinesh D'Souza mentioning the possibility of people on the left on Twitter having their accounts either suspended for a week or permanently suspended to, quote unquote, see how it feels. That's revenge politics. That is revenge politics 101. He's expressing his desire. Dinesh D'Souza would love to silence the left, and he just pretty much said it right there. And it would be several tweets prior to that. Now, he's not stupid, but this neocon's QAnon asshole, Dinesh D'Souza, wants to silence people who disagrees with him. Now, the other controversial person, and I have to say this as a disclaimer, because this person is a horrible human being, and I don't feel that much sorry for him for what he's going through, because he brought it on himself with the conspiracy theories and everything over the years. It's Alex Jones. As horrible as Alex Jones is, I will say this about Alex Jones. Alex Jones, when Occupy Wall Street was going on back in 2012, 2013, and the cops were spraying protesters and all of that, he actually on his show defended the left-wing protesters. So I will say that about Alex Jones. And prior to Obama becoming president, he did talk about the evils of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, and in a way where it was from a conservative perspective, but he also did kind of reach out at that time to a left-leaning audience and everything. But having that said, I don't like Alex Jones, but I'm just saying that's an area where Alex Jones is a right-winger who's for free speech, but Dinesh D'Souza is a right-winger who's a hypocrite and not for free speech. But somehow all of the left gets maligned and smeared as pearl clutching people trying to shut up opposition, and it's not right. So I'm going to play a little more of this and then mention something else. So hold on a second here.
I expect this from the corporate media. I expect this from the mainstream libs. It is really disconcerting and disheartening to see people like Jordan Sheridan. Dole, I'm not surprised about, and we'll get into that. But to see Sheridan not understand that what Glenn Greenwald is expressing is what used to be what the ACLU represented. The idea that freedom of speech is absolute except where law prohibits shouting fire in the crowded theater. That's the classic example.
Yes, and Russell's correct on that one, because that's kind of the position I stand on myself in that regard. I kind of in the tradition of where the ACLU were kind of known for all these years and everything, and they kind of walked away from that, and that's the kind of person Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald never changed, and it's really weird because he's never changed. Some within the liberal establishment hate his guts, and some on the right are conveniently petting him at the moment, saying, "Oh, we like you," at the moment, because it just so happens that his consistency, he is consistent enough where it's convenient to for the right to hear him badmouth a lot of liberals at this point. But the point is that we could have a President Trump or President DeSantis, and he would be doing the same thing. He's not going to be giving the right wing a free pass, and because Glenn Greenwald is consistent. I'll put it this way: if I was president of the United States, I would be glad, and I'm on record saying this, I would be glad and appoint Glenn Greenwald as Attorney General in the United States, or put him in the U.S. Supreme Court as an associate justice, because as an associate justice in the Supreme Court, he would be closer to the way the Supreme Court used to be under the Earl Warren period. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, as I said, that's not a bad thing, because the Earl Warren period was the greatest period in U.S. history for the Supreme Court. There was not a Supreme Court era that expanded individual rights and freedom of expression and right to privacy more than the Earl Warren Court. So in that regard, Russell was correct, and I don't really have a problem with Jordan Sheridan from Status Quo, but that is not one of his better moments, I have to very well confess. So there is that and everything. So hold on here just a second, and there we go. So let's go on to let's do this here. We'll go on to another story. Let's see. Give me a moment here. We'll do this. Because let's see. Oh, well, let's do this. Yeah, we'll do this here. All right, hold on. Because this something happened this week that I didn't even realize. So let me find that story, and we will discuss it. Give me a moment here. All right. All right, let's see. And I was glad to hear him discuss this because it was worth mentioning. So hold tight.
Connect 6 is
oh, good Lord. Okay, hold on a second here. It'll be mentioned. It's a very shorty, and we will be discussing this. Hold tight. Let me set everything up. I'm not so smooth with the way I do StreamYards. George Galloway. George Galloway is he's part of British BreadTube now. But George Galloway used to be a Labour MP in the British Parliament, and he was kicked out of the Labour Party in 2003 for his extreme opposition to the invasion of Iraq by the United States, Great Britain, and other countries. And he turned out to be correct, and the United States and Great Britain and other countries that attack Iraq turned out to be wrong. That's a given. We turn out to be correct, all of us who opposed the Iraq war initially. It's just a matter of time. And if we don't get nuked in the next 5 years, all of us right now who are opposed to this situation in Russia and Ukraine, the United States and NATO interfering, we're going to be correct all along to how stupid it was to try to get into a warlike situation. But getting back to George Galloway. George Galloway has a program in the UK right now, and on his program, he and you know, again, all these programs I'm showing to y'all, I'm going to leave down as a link. You know, they don't need any help, but I'm a nice enough guy that I'm going to say that they, you know, go ahead, subscribe to them. So, you know, but George Galloway has always been a voice against the war, always been a voice against you know, military interventionism, and he's been a voice against imperialism and everything. And he's mostly, and he's like, you know, 95% correct. Well, George Galloway commented on a little election in Israel that took place this week that I was not even aware of. It took a Twitter friend of mine that lives in the UK to find out that there was an election in Israel, that he did an absentee ballot, and you know, of course, he was voting against Netanyahu. So I believe he's in Meretz. It votes Meretz in Israel. But anyway, he said he's going to do everything he can to stop Netanyahu, and he's like, "Oops, looks like Netanyahu won." And unfortunately, that was the case. So and it is the case. And not only is Benjamin Netanyahu back, who is not just the worst prime minister Israel's ever had. I mean, he's a fucking war criminal. The Iraq invasion by the United States and Great Britain, he was the foreign minister during that time after 9/11, during the Ariel Sharon's government. And with that, he was urging Bush and Blair to go into Iraq. So you could tell how fucking wrong he is. And the man is he's not even in the Israeli sense of what a right-winger is. What makes him really toxic is he's really a culturally American. He's an American creation of what a right-winger would be in that country, because he has ties with the United States. I believe he went to school in the United States, raised in Pennsylvania. So he's, in a lot of ways, he's culturally American. And he took his toxic right-wing ideas of American conservatism and applied it into what was kind of a socialistic economy in the country. The whole kibbutz thing that Israel was kind of known for many years. It's been under attack prior to Netanyahu, but it really got he fucked the country in a lot of ways, in the way that Thatcher fucked the country in the 1980s in the UK. A lot of privatization, a lot of union busting. You know, this is aside from the oppression against the Palestinian people. So it's not just the open air prison against the Palestinian people, but even the Israeli population has suffered with his austerity measures. I mean, he is, and he wants the United States to go into Iran, invade Iran. He's an awful human being. He's one of the most awful human beings you can imagine. To show you how awful he is, people like Mark Levin, and people like Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck and people like that, the late Rush Limbaugh, were his cheerleaders here in the United States. He was Benjamin Netanyahu was praised by by Christian Zionists, which are probably, they're more dangerous than they're probably the most dangerous school of Zionism around. It's the Christian Zionists, because what Christian Zionism wants is ultimately to destroy everything. I mean, at least with Zionism, they just want Israel for itself, and that's gonna have a debate about that. But Christian Zionism pretends to love the Jewish people, but what they want to speed what they interpret as biblical prophecy by a lot of evangelical fundamentalist types. And these sort of types, they claim that they love the Jews, but they don't. And they want Israel and Iran or some other country to toss nukes at each other. And they think that these Christians think that piece of land is going to be theirs, and that everybody, the Muslims and the so-called non-believers elsewhere who are probably nominally Christian and Jewish people, they're all going to disappear. And the only people going to be around are the Christians, and they're going to take up that piece of real estate for themselves. And so that is why, Zionism is dangerous, and in particular, Christian Zionism. And so it is not anti-Semitic to criticize Zionism. In fact, in some ways, Zionism is in fact anti-Semitic. Christian Zionism is, and so people like Benjamin Netanyahu, who sits there and embrace the John Hagees in the West, here in the United States, that's a toxic marriage right there. And John Hagee, who was a big time supporter of the George W. Bush, Dick Cheney foreign policy, warmongering that took place, a big fan of surveillance of the American population, a big fan of torture of political prisoners in Guantanamo Bay. This is the kind of mentality that exists. And so this son of a bitch is back in power in Israel. And George Galloway is going to tell you how horrible the country is today. There we go. And I will play the video. Take it away, George. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Let's see.
Benjamin Netanyahu is back. What you never thought you'd be glad to hear. But when you see who'll be in government with him, you'll realize that the polarity in Israeli politics now is between Netanyahu, who wants a low body count in the occupied territories, whilst facts are created on the ground, rendering the once famous two-state solution null and void, entirely odious, and people who want to show the Arabs who the real lords of the land are. That quote is directly from the Kahanist leader, Gevur, who will be the power in Netanyahu's government. In fact, he wants to take Netanyahu's place, which may, of course, lead to tensions, which may, of course, lead to the collapse of the government and more elections. But a fat lot of good that will do, because the direction of travel is absolutely clear. The once mighty Labour Party, which founded the state of Israel, which governed the state of Israel throughout its existence for at least 25 years, is now reduced to 4 members of parliament in a parliament of 120 members. Netanyahu already has 65 MPs, which by Israeli standards is a landslide victory, and they haven't stopped counting yet. The so-called left-wing Meretz, a pro-Zionist but kind of vaguely leftish group, has failed to make the threshold, as has Balad, the Israeli Arab, as they call them, the Palestinian slate of candidates. They have failed to make the threshold also. So it's going to be a parliament where Netanyahu is the moderate voice in government.
That is motherfucking scary to hear what I just heard. Where Netanyahu is a fucking moderate, where even the Labor Party is at 4 seats. I mean, just that is a scary scenario. Where, I mean, there was a time, even not too long ago, where Meretz had a representation, and Labor was a healthy opposition, and that's gone. And everything. So it's just let me put it this way. Benjamin Netanyahu is such a piece of shit that that even though on election day 2020, when he called Joe Biden and congratulated him for his victory, for winning, and he did it because it's what world leaders do. They call the president of the United States or whatever prime minister of whatever country to wish them congratulate them on their victory for diplomatic reasons, and also as a UN ambassador for years, and working as a foreign minister and various levels of government, and his visits in the United States, he's known Joe Biden, the establishment. Say what you will about Joe Biden. I don't like Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden's a piece of shit. I would tell anybody that all day long. Let's go Brandon from the left. But Joe Biden. And the point is that Joe Biden knows a lot of people, and Joe Biden apparently on a personal level, Joe Biden is a nice guy on a personal level. I didn't say I like Joe Biden, just say on a personal level, people seem to like him. Ranging from people from the ideology of Jesse Helms on the far right all the way to Bernie Sanders on the far left. I got a Jesse Helms story in a second in relation to Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu congratulated Joe Biden. I think he probably wished for a Trump outcome more than a Biden outcome, but I don't think that he was too upset with Biden. I think that even more so than Obama, I think that he saw Biden as probably an establishment figure. Now, I don't think that Obama was anti-Israel, but there was a lot of people that bought into this thing that Obama was anti-Israel. No. I think that Obama was too pro-Israel, in my opinion. But anyway, thing about it is that I mean, yeah, he saw Biden as a kind of return to normal. He figures it's going to be a good relationship between Biden and his government, and I think that that's probably going to be the case. That's the reason I voted for Howie Hawkins. One of the many reasons I voted for Howie Hawkins. But suffice to say, in all of this scenarios that Donald Trump's had his feelings hurt, because Donald Trump doesn't have any fucking common sense, and Donald Trump had his feelings hurt, and he expects loyalty, not even fully understanding diplomatic protocols across the borders around the world. What leaders around the world do, even if they don't ideologically align with others in the name of diplomacy, especially among allies. And so he was mad that after all he did for Netanyahu, taking the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which was stupid. But anyway, doing that and basically just looking out for Israel, which pretty much all the presidents do that. They all do that. I mean, all the presidents have cucked themselves into defending Israel. I mean, that they all do. He's no different from any other president. Trump, you're no different from any other president in that regard. Give yourself too much credit. But he got mad and had his feelings hurt, and he was like, said this about Benjamin Netanyahu. Fuck him. And, I'm like, you know what? Maybe for different reasons, I will going to go and agree with Donald Trump. Fuck Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'll say it again. Fuck Benjamin Netanyahu. I'll say it again. Fuck Benjamin Netanyahu. And somebody's going to sit there and probably call me a bigot for saying that. Well, you're going to call me a bigot for saying that. Then, next time somebody calls me a bigot for saying that, I'm going to say to a right-winger, okay, well then, if I'm an anti-Semite for hating on Benjamin Netanyahu, maybe you're an anti-Semite because you hate Bernie Sanders. Or maybe you're an anti-Semite because, for whatever reason, there's ways you can go and get these people back with regard to how they go and try to do a smear job on you. But the point I'm trying to make is that this man is now a moderate in the makeup of the government. That is disastrous. But at least if there is an election, let's hope that the election will reverse in a better direction than it has right now, because this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. And now when it comes to I mean, when I was younger and I didn't know any better, I mean, I at one time I was a supporter of Israel. Don't hate on me. I used to support the country. I didn't have the knowledge and the information, and I'm not going to say I was lied to, but I had a different worldview of back then. And now that I know better, I guess you could say, and now I didn't necessarily believe that the level of discrimination that was existing at the time. And I thought it was something as simple as, well, if they go and behave, it will be, I used to think that. But no, there is discrimination, and there's in the open air prison, and they're not allowed to have an infrastructure. I'm referring to the Palestinians. And when I was told and convinced of this, I realized, no. Israel's, you can't do this to these people. You can't do this to the Palestinians. And it's not anti-Semitic to want equality for the Palestinian people. Now, wanting equality for the Palestinian people doesn't mean you want harm for people in Israel, but it also means that you don't want harm for the Palestinian people, because both Israelis and Palestinians are, by definition, people, just as there are people all over the world, human beings. Every government's occupied by human beings, and all governments have evil people in it. All governments have some people who are benevolent in it too. And you want the people who are benevolent, or people who mean well, to good faith actors, I guess you could say, to be the ones in there to try to do what is positive. And right now, I mean, it doesn't look like that when Benjamin Netanyahu is the moderate voice. I used to be uneasy about BDS. Now, I've always been on record of favoring free speech for those who supported BDS, and I've always, even a long time ago when I was a more pro-Israeli, I still, on free speech grounds, thought it was bullshit to criminalize the BDS movement. I have to favor BDS now because of this election, for sure. Because if you're going to go, you can't reward a country that's going to go and do this sort of atrocities to the people. And that's the thing right there. Something has to be done for the Israeli government to behave and be a good faith actor. And they have moved away from secularism too, by the way. It used to be kind of a secular democracy. It isn't now. They're moving toward the way a country like Saudi Arabia is today, with their own version of a Sharia law of their own. I'm talking about Israel. And you don't want that. You don't want that at all. Anywhere. And I don't want it in Saudi Arabia, and I don't want an Israeli version of that either. I don't want a Christian version of it either. I believe in secular governments everywhere. I believe secularism with religious freedom and freedom from religion for those who don't want it in their lives is the best way to go about things. So, if you're a religious person and you want to practice your religious beliefs, whatever they may be, go for it. If you're not a religious person, if you're an atheist, or if you're secular, or an agnostic, a skeptic, a secular humanist, or what have you, you have your rights, and nobody should go and try to enforce their beliefs on you. Freedom of religion and freedom from religion means the same thing. Point being, is that they have moved away from their secularism, and that's problematic. And when you move away from secularism, and that's leads to authoritarianism. You see what's happening here in the United States with creeping Christian nationalism, which is basically the Christian right of the 1980s, not just high on coke, but high on crack. I mean, it's just, it's horrible what's about to happen. And I was supposed to have a guest on my show. He's been busy. A friend of mine, in Dwight Welsh. We're still committed to doing the program, so there will be a program in the near future. Dwight Welsh, who's a minister. He's a minister for I believe in Billings. He's in Billings. Never been to Montana. He lives in Montana. He's a United Church of Christ minister. United Church of Christ is a liberal Protestant denomination. Its roots goes back to the Pilgrims. Anyway, he and I were going to have a discussion on Christian nationalism and how horrible Christian nationalism, where it came from here in the United States, where it was actually almost mainstream at one point, and its term being used today is how toxic it is. So we're going to be we'll be talking about that, and as soon as his schedule is freed up for the better. He's been a guest on this program before, so he will be a guest again. And that was when I was starting to have guests a year ago. And when I was doing that, I did not know how to make the volume work. So there was a lot of echo, and there was it was all like really horrible quality stuff as far as the sound and everything. Now I know what the hell I'm doing. So when we get guests, we do a good job on it. But anyhow, my point is that they're turning into a theocratic state, and that's disconcerting and everything. And I like secular states. I like states that are secular, and whether it's in my backyard or anywhere else, and that's what it comes down to. Because I'm a free thinking person, and I guess you could say I'm nominally Christian, but I don't wear it on my sleeve, and I don't beat you down with it, and I won't. I just won't. And I don't care what you believe. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what other people believe. I really don't. I go on with my day-to-day life, and I just, all I want to do is just get on with my day-to-day life and look forward to the retirement. It's what I'm looking forward to. And then go into retirement. Maybe I can do more streams. That would be fun. Yeah. But anyway, suffice to say, George Galloway was correct, and man, this is really fucked up what's happening in regard to the what's about to happen in the next few years in that country. So, as if things weren't really bad enough as it is, So anyhow, do give George Galloway, thumbs up and subscribe to his channel. Not that he needs my help, but I'm just wanting to go and urge people to do just that and everything. So let's see what we got here as another story. And I'm doing this kind of fairly ad hoc. So there is that. Let me see what we got here as a story that we can do. And this is sort of an election night coverage thing. So, as I said, I'm doing broad politics and all, and some things I'm not going to focus too much about, because I don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube censor gods. issues like, issues basically dealing with, election fraud, because I don't want to become a conspiracy theorist by YouTube again, even though, I wasn't a conspiracy theorist. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I mean, that's just total bunk. Well, that's just total bunk when people will say things like that. So, let's see here. What else can we talk about? Oh my God. I guess we could talk about this. I guess we can talk about this, which is silly, and it's all about nothing. Hold on a second.
People ask me, what are you going to do for the election?
Give me a second here.
Now, the question is, what?
Okay, give me a moment here. Yeah, you heard Obama's voice. There you go. All right. This is from the Majority Report, and it shows you how sad things are from the Majority Report, where they go and resort to their favorite punching bag. And I would like the Majority Report a hell of a lot better if they would stop with the Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome. Stop, Sam. Stop, Emma. And even if you're going to have Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome, the one thing you can do to make your program bearable in spite of your obsession with Jimmy is to not have no Mickey Cons. Gosh, she is so fucking annoying. How in the hell can y'all stand her? Well, at least in this segment, we don't have to deal with no Mickey Cons. That's a plus. So anyway, this is I don't think Sam's here on this one. Nope. It's Sam it's Max Bender, whatever his name is, Emma. What's her name? Emma Vigeland, and I forgot the other guy's name. They're also just as bad on the Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome. So I'll go mention them and play their video and comment.
Matt Bender did a little bit of an investigative report, we could call it, on some suspicious activity on social media that you observed. And we can always count on you for a deep dive. And this one is particularly fun because Jimmy Dore may or may not have a sock puppet Twitter account that exclusively basically defends Jimmy Dore from criticism.
I think that all content makers have some kind of a sock account. They have alternative accounts. It's what they do. And I think y'all do too, okay?
I tweeted a comment about a Jimmy Dore clip that the Surfs posted on their Twitter account on Monday. And I totally thought nothing of it after I tweeted it. We're now almost 2 days later, and I receive a reply to the tweet. And the reply says, let me pull it up on the screen here. Jimmy literally says, I'm for the mural. And again, this is talking about that local news clip that showed these parents engaging in an anti-LGBTQ and satanic panic type thing, even saying there's witchcraft imagery, satanic imagery in this mural, harassing this teen girl to tears, the girl who created it. So this Twitter account says, this Twitter account, Two Coats is their name, and their Twitter username is @libtard01. Jimmy literally says, I'm for the mural, showing support for the teen girl and her artwork. He's against canceling Halloween, which is why he says both sides. I get you hate.
Matt, Jimmy Dore's anti-censorship. He's from that old left. I know you're not. I know that, and you're not the worst person on Majority Report. Some people think you are a shit lib, but I don't necessarily even think you're that bad. But I mean, you're not Namiki Cons, for Christ's sake. You're not Emma Vigeland, thank God. But come on now. You can at least be understanding there. I'll let you continue.
Jimmy literally says, I'm for the mural, showing support for the teen girl and her artwork. He's against canceling Halloween, which is why he says both sides. I get you hate Jimmy, but can you just one time tell the truth about what he's saying instead of clipping and twisting it? Just one time. I'm like, whoa, this tweet, this reply to my tweet's getting a lot of attention for just a random reply. And so I check out who this person is, and they're really just a nobody, which is fine. But
can you pause it just for 1 second? Just keep it up. Matt, after I watched this video last night, I went to @libtard01, and I saw that one Sam Cedar has chosen to follow
right now.
Right,
yeah, he's following him now.
I was like, it was just like the only person I know that mutually follows @libtard01 is now Sam, which is just what makes Sam so special, right? Like, he's not going to advertise it, but he wants the owner of @libtard01 to know, I see you. So, yeah, keep going.
Followers. Their Twitter account seems to solely be replies defending Jimmy Dore. There they are sharing a video attacking Sam Cedar's criticisms of Jimmy Dore. There we go, another Jimmy Dore tweet. Anti-Ukraine. See, there's some more COVID conspiracy theories. More Jimmy Dore promotion, more Jimmy Dore promotion, more Jimmy Dore promotion. It's really just an account almost solely defending Jimmy Dore and then tweeting out pretty much the same sort of content that Jimmy Dore talks about on his show, which again, fine, maybe it's a Jimmy Dore fan. But I was struck by the interest this rant.
There are some very strong Jimmy Dore fans out there. They are. So, at least you're being fair, in that regard. But I'll let you go on.
Them replying to an almost 2-day-old tweet got, and then I check, and the first person who retweeted it is Jimmy Dore. Now I'm thinking, that's weird, but maybe, no, look. There's no Jimmy Dore tag. He doesn't tag @Jimmy Dore in this tweet. No, he doesn't. That's fine. Maybe Jimmy Dore is a name searcher. I mean, that's really lame. People who go on Twitter and search their name, without the @ in hopes of finding people like, subtweeting them. Whatever you think of it, at least that would explain how Jimmy Dore found it, and that would solve that mystery. Nothing more there. But look at the tweet. Jimmy literally says, he refers to Jimmy Dore again, but he just says, I get you hate Jimmy. He never says Jimmy Dore to find this tweet. You would have to search just Jimmy. And let's just do that. There's probably going to be some vulgar stuff, maybe. Who knows? But let's just search Jimmy.
This is investigative journalism, Binder.
Latest. There we go. Yeah.
Jimmy VC. Hey, that's about the Rangers.
We're looking at 5 tweets with the word Jimmy in a 5-second time span. Let's refresh this. Brand new tweets coming in just a span of seconds.
So many hockey tweets.
There you go.
Good for my agenda.
Coming in. So I'm really questioning what's going on here. So then I look at, let me pull this up here. I look at my replies. And now I can't tell the exact time Jimmy Dore retweeted it, but I can see when the first person replied to Jimmy Dore's retweet, because it includes me, that Twitter account with the 55 followers, and it would include @Jimmy Dore, because they'd be replying to Jimmy Dore's retweet. And so the original tweet from @libtard01 with the 55 followers was posted at 7:38 p.m. October 25th. That's right now. That's today. Just a few hours ago. 7:38 p.m. And the first person replying to Jimmy Dore's retweet comes in almost right away at 7:41 p.m. So that means Jimmy Dore retweeted this 55 follower Twitter account who did not @him, who did not even type the words Jimmy Dore in their tweet, so you could find it if you search for the search term Jimmy Dore on Twitter. Jimmy Dore retweeted that tweet because I don't know, that's when someone replied to his retweet of the 55 follower tweet. So sometime within the 3-minute span that Libtard01 tweeted this at me, Jimmy Dore found it and retweeted it within 3 minutes of this tweet being posted. And now I'm really thinking, I've got to give Jimmy Dore the benefit of the doubt here. Jimmy Dore might follow the guy. And even though this is a reply, Twitter's weird sometimes, maybe the tweet came up in Jimmy Dore's feed. So I'm looking at the 55 followers. This guy's a big Jimmy Dore fan, so maybe Jimmy Dore is a follower of his. Let's scroll right now through all of @Libtard01's tweets. Followers. And see if Jimmy Dore is on this list. It's 55 people following him, so it shouldn't be that long. I'm looking.
People's Party follows him.
I'm looking.
Wait, and
I'm looking. No, Jimmy Dore does not follow this guy. So that begs the question: how the hell?
Okay, let me do this really fast here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, as I said, well, the point is that they suffer from there was a time I listened to Majority Report pretty regularly. There was once upon a time I would listen to the program, and there was even some funny shit that Sam did years ago about Russia prior to the 2016 election, where he was making fun of oh good lord, Louis Gohmert. Oh, it was really funny. He made Louis Gohmert look like an idiot, which that, you know, to try to make him look like a bigger idiot than he is. If you don't know who Louis Gohmert is, he's a Republican congressman from Texas. He's a pretty hateful individual. But suffice to say that it's crazy what's going on and everything. So with the Majority Report, really they love to obsess over Jimmy, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't really ever hear Jimmy Dore talking about Sam Cedar. I mean, if he mentions Sam Cedar, he usually will make the reference MSNBC man. That's his way of dealing with Sam Cedar. But he really doesn't talk about Sam Cedar. Now, for about 5 minutes, almost 2 years ago, for about 5 minutes, I started to think better of Sam Cedar when he heard about Jimmy's idea of force the vote and was initially receptive to the idea. And I was like, okay, all right, you're open-minded to Jimmy's idea about force the vote. You think it might be a good idea. I mean, like, okay, you know, Jimmy Dore supports Medicare for all. Good. Sam Cedar supports Medicare for all. They both supports Medicare for all. There, and I'm like, okay, all right. This is probably, since Bernie Sanders dropped out, this is what's going to take for the left to do what it can do to build some kind of solidarity, to basically tell the new administration, as Orange Man is leaving, to tell the new administration, hey, you better play ball with us. We did what we could to get your ass in there, Biden. Pelosi, we did all we could to make damn sure that the Democrats remain in majority in both houses. Play ball with us. You want to be Speaker of the House? Play ball with us. And that was considered controversial. It was considered divisive. We don't want to go out and jeopardize her speakership, by holding her seat hostage. Yes, I do. I don't care about Nancy Pelosi's well-being. If she's politically harmed, she should have known better. And to this day, I can't believe that there are people out there, your Shank Ugerts and your Nomiki Kants out there, they're acting like they were correct about force to vote all along. I mean, good Lord, people, I mean, I will call this part 2, but of Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome. But it is kind of funny that he did it anyway. And I like this person, but he was wrong in his assessment. But even though he was wrong on his assessment, it was kind of funny watching this. So let me find the video. Hold on a second. There we go. Oh God. Okay. Let me do this here. Okay. This is from it's connected with force to vote and all of that. And it's similar. And it's one of the few times that I found myself disagreeing with the guy, TJ Kirk, Amazing Atheist. I think he's been hanging out with Vosh a little too much because his politics is not as good as it used to be. But and this is an example of it. And he probably doesn't know who the hell I am. He'll probably tell me to fuck off, and that's okay. If he'll tell me to fuck off, that's okay. I mean, you don't have to like me. You know, I'm still going to recognize the good work he's done in the past. But even though he had a shit take, it was kind of hilarious. So I'm going to play you this video of him getting mad over Jimmy Dore's force the vote idea. Give me a second here, and we'll do that. All right.
So, can I ask you guys a question? Why the fuck is the force the vote discussion still going on? Like, isn't that over?
Not really.
Like, what did I miss? The whole argument was the squad needs to hold Nancy Pelosi's speakership hostage to force a Medicare for all vote, right? That was the plan. That was the whole thing behind force the fucking vote. And that moment passed. The squad did not do it. I'm glad they didn't. I was against it, not because I love Nancy Pelosi, but just because I thought it was a waste of political capital, and I don't think that there was any real advantage in putting that vote up yet. I don't think it was going to have any of the effects that its, advocates said it was going to have. I think it was just a waste of political capital for a largely symbolic gesture. Now, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't agree with me, but what we can all agree on, I thought, is that the moment has passed. It's been decided. It happened. Nancy Pelosi was voted back in as speaker. The squad did not stand in her fucking way. They did not force a Medicare for all vote. So why is this fucking shit still being litigated? Why am I still hearing it? Why did Briahna Joy Gray or Gray Joy or whatever the fuck her name is just have a debate with Sam Cedar on this shit? Why are there still debates happening? Why is Jimmy Dore still out there? Force the vote, force the vote. It's like, it's too late. Your time has passed. It's over. You lost. Fuck off. Fuck right on off into that old wild blue yonder. You had an idea. You thought it was good. Other people like me thought it was shit. And maybe we were wrong. Maybe you were right. But now it doesn't matter because the time has goddamn passed. It's gone. Whoosh. Why are you still looking? Hey, why are you still looking over there? That's the past. Look over there. That's the future. It's time to move on to the next fucking argument, right? I've tried to address the arguments here and not the personalities. I've tried to be focused not on Jimmy Dore and his fucking shit, his fucking passion, his fucking, I'm Jimmy fucking Dore, bitch. I try not to fucking get sucked into that because way too many people have been sucked into it. He was trending on fucking Twitter today, for fuck's sake. I tried muting his name on Twitter. I tried muting Jimmy Dore because I was just tired of every fucking goddamn commentator I follow. Jimmy Dore. You hear what Jimmy Dore did? You hear what Jimmy Dore did now? Look what Jimmy Dore did. Hey guys, you hear about Jimmy Dore? You see what Jimmy Dore? Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore, 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 Me agree with Jimmy Dore. Me disagree with Jimmy Dore. Oh, we hate each other now. When did Jimmy Dore become the fucking linchpin of it all? When did everyone on the left define themselves by their support of or opposition to Jimmy fucking spitting viper Dore? Like, is he really worth it? I say this shit. I put it out there. I'm like, hey, I don't know about this Jimmy Dore shit. People are like, oh, you know what, TJ? I see what's going on here, buddy. I see what the fuck is going on. You know what you are, TJ? You know what the fuck you are, buddy? You're nothing but a goddamn Vosh sycophant. That's what you are. You're just like, oh, you see that Vosh cock. You're like, oh, Vosh cock. Hey, Vosh's cock. What should I do next? And Vosh's cock points this way, and you go that way. Vosh's cock points up, you go up. Vosh's cock points down, you go down. You just follow the cock. You fucking Vosh cock-hungry motherfucker. You only hate Jimmy Dore because Vosh hates Jimmy Dore. That's what's going on with you. I done fucking psychoanalyzed your shit, you dumb fuck. Okay, couple problems with that. First of all, I hated Jimmy Dore before Vosh was even a fucking thing, bitch.
Okay. All right. There's a lot to say about this here. Hold on a second. Here we go. Okay. Okay. That it was a critique of Jimmy Dore, but it was funny. TJ's wrong. I mean, his heart's in the right place. If you watch the video, his heart's in the right place. He thinks that if you go and play by the rules, you'll get that Medicare for all. He's just wrong. He's wrong. And that's okay. I mean, you know, and Sam Cedar's wrong when he ultimately turned against force of vote. And Nomiki Kos is wrong. And if you ever want to piss off Bosch, all you have to do in his little chat line is to go and troll him with force of vote, force of vote, force of vote, force of vote, because he hates force of vote. And it's not just on Medicare for all. We didn't do force of vote on anything. The only person that did force of vote on the Democratic side were two assholes by the name of Joe Manchin and Kirsten Silva, who were right-wing Democrats. Was that really necessary? I mean, to let them use that idea, and then it becomes they get their way with it. Force of vote would have worked if we would have held Nancy Pelosi's seats hostage. We probably would not have gotten for all, but we would have probably gotten something like we would have probably. Even if she would have won, they would probably have done something like try to negotiate for lower drug prices to make sure this is not going to happen again. They would probably try to do something like lower Medicare eligibility down to 55 or 60. It's not perfect, but it would have been better than not doing force of vote and not getting anything. I mean, the Tea Party, as insufferable as they were, they drove the Republican establishment nuts. And I mean, the difference between them driving the establishment nuts and the squad driving the Democratic establishment nuts is the Tea Party drove the establishment of the Republicans nuts in a way that actually they've got strong arm into being doing things that offends people like me. Whereas in the Democratic side, the left tends to have a very nice attitude once they're in any position of power. They tend to want to negotiate and do things in good faith. And you can see I hope a lot of good is done in the process. And that's the problem with them. So it just kind of upsets me that it was a wasted opportunity to what I just saw with this force of vote thing. So well, I mean, what needed to be done was to put fear. I mean, AOC said it herself, that you need to make them feel uncomfortable. She said it. And, when people getting mad at, some of us on the left that were cheering the idea of force to vote, whether it's Jimmy Dore or whether it's Jimmy Dore or whether it's Kyle Kulinski or whether it's Crystal Ball or whether it's just various groups, Cornel West, Chris Hayes, Chris Hedges. No, what I'm saying, Chris Hayes from MSNBC, Christopher Hedges. It was the right thing to do, was to go and to go and to make them feel uncomfortable, and that's what needed. I don't know why. It takes. I don't know why they can't get that. I just don't know why people are absolutely just. They feel like they got to go and play it safe, and And if you don't, and you don't get your way, and all of a sudden they want to go and blame somebody. I mean, just it broke my heart to hear that Ralph Nader decided to go and to urge people to vote Democrat in November, is my understanding. And I'm like, come on now, really, Ralph, really? I know that what they did to you 20 years ago was horrible. And that was, they did you wrong. But there's no reason to do that. Honestly, there's just no reason to do that. So anyway, what I want to do is I want to play another video. Hold tight. Let me go ahead and let's see here. Yes, let's do this here. Give me a moment. Okay. All right. Hold tight a second.
One defense I hear.
Okay. There we go. You can tell the beer is doing its effect on me. So anyway, she went ahead. You know who she is. She doesn't make that many videos these days, but whenever, I'm always happy when she decides to put out content. And she did one talking about our surveillance state in relation to social media. And this is, I'm going to play part of it, and I'll let you take what you will from it, and I'll share my take. So let's go ahead and do that right now. There we go. And let me do this. And let me do this here. All right. Okay. All right. I got to show my face to the side. I'm not as pretty as she is, but But anyway, let's do this here, and we'll get started. Take it away, June.
One defense I hear from all across the political spectrum when I criticize corporations or talk about free speech online is they're a private company, they can do whatever they want. But what happens when the government is using said private company in order to suppress what people can say? It's a private company, they can do whatever they want, was never a defense. It was a threat. Feels so good to be vindicated. Actually, no, it doesn't. Feels awful. This is a 100% pure, unfiltered, unscripted rant, just like the old days. So forgive me if I randomly go off topic, but this is a very interesting story, and it absolutely could not wait for the next hell world like 4 months from now. But according to a new, very detailed report from The Intercept, the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, has been closely working with social media to monitor and censor people. Wow, who could have seen this coming? F***ing everyone. Let's read some of this expose together, shall we? Get comfy. I made you some tea. Here you go. The Department of Homeland Security is quietly broadening its effort to curb speech it considers dangerous. Years of internal DHS memos, emails, and documents obtained via leaks and an ongoing lawsuit, as well as public documents, illustrate an expansive effort by the agency to influence tech platforms. Behind closed doors and through pressure on private platforms, the U.S. government has used its power to try and shape online discourse. Ah yes, the government and corpos. Two of a thing I hate, working together. The department plans to target inaccurate information on a wide range of topics, including the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic and the efficiency of COVID-19 vaccines, racial justice, U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the nature of U.S. support to Ukraine. In a March meeting, an FBI official warned that the threat of subversive information on social media could undermine support for the U.S. government. Oh, trust me, you don't need social media to do that. You guys are doing a fine job at that on your own. How disinformation is defined by the government has not been clearly articulated, and the inherently subjective nature of what constitutes disinformation provides a broad opening for DHS officials to make politically motivated determinations about what constitutes as dangerous speech. Now, you're probably asking, why is this happening? Well, the government can't outright censor us, right? That would be a violation of the First Amendment. But you know who can? Private corporations. So all it really takes is someone from the government to slide into some tech CEO's DMs and say, hey, we've got a little problem. You want to take care of it for us? So included in this expose were leaked text messages from a former DHS official who is now a Microsoft executive talking to another DHS official saying, quote, these platforms have got to get comfortable with government.
Let me stop right there for a moment and give my take on this. you see where this is my problem, where the left and the right have turned around in the worst way. Because in the past, it used to be the right used to be like, well, the government can't tell the company what to do. It's the company's right. If the company wants to fuck people over, how dare the government tells the company they can't fuck people over? You know, and that's what was the right-wing mindset at that time. But then, you know, the age of social media, the liberals are defending the corporations. They're saying terms of service. And, you know, the thing about it is, there is things about contracts and terms of services are contracts, and the companies are private. Now, if you're a right winger and you want to be opposed to abortion, and I'm not, okay. If you're opposed to abortion and you're not a dick about it, and you're not, you state you're opposed to abortion, or you don't feel comfortable with the whole idea of transgender people doing whatever, and you don't like same-sex marriage, and you don't I'll even go as far as you may not even like the idea of interracial marriage or whatever. I would disagree with you, and I would disagree with you harshly. But should you be taken down if you're not being a dick to somebody about it? And having those views is not the same as being a dick, but being abusive about it while you're doing it to somebody would be. So if you're for these views, and and that is your position, that's one thing. But if you're doing it in a sense where you want to go and like impose and kill somebody, or beat up on somebody, or harass somebody with it, then when you're getting pulled down, and they give you the internet death penalty, or put you in the internet jail, that's one thing. Donald Trump being pulled off of Twitter, I did not like that. I thought that was wrong. Not because I like Donald Trump. I just thought that was wrong. And if Elon Musk puts Donald Trump back on Twitter, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. The only problem I have with Elon Musk buying a Twitter is what I'm afraid of people like Dinesh D'Souza or some other right-wing asshole having the listening ear of someone like Elon Musk, and cancel culture being imposed on the left. I'm getting used to Twitter now. I didn't used to be on Twitter. And prior to in my opinion only, prior to the purchase of Twitter, and this is my opinion, prior to the purchase of Twitter, prior to this purchase, I actually think that there's more free speech on Twitter than there is, let's say, on Facebook. And that's my opinion. I know different people have different perspectives, and I've seen some bad things happen to people on Twitter that I don't like. I'm talking about not necessarily right winger. I'm talking about people who are good faith actors on the left getting fucked with on Twitter. I could think of a couple of people right now that I follow, and they follow me, and they're good faith actors. Such as Joe Shut the Fuck Up Shut Lib, for example. I'm going to put down his Twitter handle, and please follow him on Twitter. He is awesome. And if I can think about it, follow him on YouTube as well. He puts out great material, great political satire, awesome stuff that he puts out. He works with the guys from the Indie News Network, great news network also. So there is that. And the other person, Chris Legion, socialist. He's also a good guy. He's back on Twitter right now for the time being. he's been fucked with on Twitter in the past, and he decided to come back and give it another twirl. And my point is that people on the left gets fucked with on Twitter as well. I'll give you his Twitter handle and everything, his YouTube's information, because I highly recommend y'all following this too. So there is that. What I'm trying to make is that's how the right wing narrative is leftists are for censorship and they're not, and that's not true. It's not true, especially the way that the right frames it. And we'll let her continue.
Yikes. JP Morgan Chase stressed that we need a media infrastructure that is held accountable. The banks? The banks? Everybody stop posting your opinions. The banks are mad. There's also a formalized process for government officials to directly flag content on Facebook or Instagram and request that it be throttled or suppressed through a special Facebook portal that requires a government or law enforcement email to use. Okay. Let me get this straight. The feds are monitoring Facebook and Instagram? What the hell could possibly be going on Instagram? The feds are reading your simp replies. The feds have seen you call me mommy. The challenge is particularly acute in marginalized communities, which are often the targets of false or misleading information. Oh, you hear that, black and brown people? You're particularly being monitored by the FBI. But don't worry, it's for your own good. You're just too stupid to come up with your own conclusions. You need the government to do it for you. You need the government and corporations to step in and control what and what you cannot say. Silly minority. The counter-disinformation effort began in 2018, following a high-profile hacking incident of U.S. firms, when Congress passed and President Donald Trump signed the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Act. They argued that the agency needed to take steps to halt the spread of false and misleading information, with a focus on information that undermined key democratic institutions, such as the courts, or by other sectors such as the financial system or public health measures. In 2019, DHS created a separate entity called the Foreign Influence and Interference Branch to generate more detailed intelligence about disinformation. In 2020, the disinformation focus expanded to include COVID-19, according to a Homeland Threat Assessment issued by Acting Secretary Chad Wolf. Chad Wolf! This apparently started during the Trump administration and continued into the Biden administration. So this is not even a left versus right thing. This is once again an us versus them thing. But it will no doubt once again be turned into a left versus right thing, because the two-party system and its consequences have been a disaster for the American race. Sorry,
Yeah, it sure has. And I will say this. Give me a moment here. I will say this, and it is this. That the national security state, the deep state, and we've always more or less had it, but it went on steroids after 9/11 with the Patriot Act, the Department of Homeland Security, that sort of thing. And for some partisans, it was okay when Bush and Cheney was doing it, but not okay when Obama and Biden were doing it. Kind of okay again when Trump was doing it, but bad when Biden and Harris are doing it. But I guess it's going to be okay when DeSantis is doing it. And the difference between me and all of those motherfuckers is it's not okay when anybody's doing it. That's more or less where I stand, because I'm consistent. I'm a consistent individual, and that's just how how I am. I just like to keep things consistent in that regard, because I don't see how people can sit there and be a hypocrite and just be a hypocrite and be so bold about it and not give a damn that people view them as such. I mean, it's just kind of like, really, folks, really? So anyhow, that's, I don't like selective outrage, no matter who's doing the selective outrage at all. And I mean, because as I said, I consider myself a consistent individual. So anyway, let me find. This will probably be I heard the young girl say. This will probably. Hold on a second here, if I can find it. Yep. Yeah, there. I think I found it. So there we go. I in fact, I'm going to be, this will be the last video I'll be playing tonight, because, and it'll be a way to get into the videos I'm going to be watching, around 12:15 Eastern Standard Time. Extra Bulla, the secret show, hosted by Warren Dearman. He's a good guy, lives up in Brooklyn, and tonight he's going to be, I believe he's going to be co-hosting it with Jimmy Sutherland, who hosts what every day, I believe, like from 10, like what's that? 10, wow, like 11 in the morning. I forgot what time. I work at night, so I catch her almost every day, and I'm usually halfway asleep when I catch her. I always like to drop by and say hello to her too when she's doing her program. I do urge you to subscribe to her channel, and same with Warren's channel, Extra Bulla, the secret show. And there's going to be an episode tonight. But the last night, he was just him by himself. They usually co-host on Friday night. Anyway, what was his name? I think it's Big Mac Crab Big Mac. Oh gosh, he's gonna hate me for not knowing his name. He did a video. Hold on, I could tell you his name right now. I'm a little tipsy, so that's my excuse. Damn it, that is my excuse right there. Hold on a second. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I think that's how you pronounce the name. Let's see. That's okay. He'll mention it. Anyway, he did his tile tier maker thing on what is called shit libs, and it was a really interesting. He decided to go and comment on it, and I'll play it. As I said, it's a good way to get ourselves worked up for the next program here. So, which I'll be watching later in a little bit. So, give me a couple of moments here. We'll set it up. There we go. And once again, be sure to also subscribe to Extra Bulla. And he talks about other things, but on the secret show, it's a little more laid back, a little chill, just and there's always some politics in there, but it's just a little more laid back as a general rule. So anyway, let me see. Am I ready? It looks like I'm ready. So I'm ready already. So here we go, and take it away, Warren.
Your platforms. So, like I was saying earlier this evening, my buddy Greg, aka Big Mad Crab,
he did
it last night to debut. He did this list of shit libs, and I thought it was quite funny, and I thought we could kind of go over it a little bit here as well. So let me pull that up real quick. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. So we have some of these people. I have no idea who they are. I'm going to be honest with you. So you got down here the C shit. You got. Well, here's your category. Actually,
I actually know. There's one I do know fairly well. There's one I know fairly well, and and there's a couple of them that I know on Twitter. And there's one that's blocked me. It's one that does not like me at all, and there's a couple of them that are kind of cringe. But anyway, it's a good tier list thing that he put out. Big Mac Crabs is his name, and Warren talks about it. So I'll let him start it on it. So I'm sorry.
You got shit libby, you have full shit lib, you have insufferable libtard, and you've got probably a fit. So I'm going to show you the ones that I can recognize. So I know this is Brooklyn Sad Incontinent right there. This guy is he looks like he just got off tour with REO Speedwagon, or an REO Speedwagon cover band. Jeff Tidich, I think. This is Vosh. Is this wait a minute, who's this? Who's the guy with he looks like he's got a a chick's face. I'm not sure who this is. I think this is Destiny, right? And this is Malcolm Nance. Malcolm Nance is funny. He said, "I'm going to Ukraine. I'm gonna fight." And he went over there, and I think he just went over there and took pictures. I was like, okay, that's fine. And you got Nomiki. Everyone is threatening my life. She always runs for some sort of office here in New York, and she always scams some money off of people, and then she ends up dropping out. I think that's her grift. She runs for office, tries to raise money. She gets on Majority Report with all those shitheads, and and then she ends up somehow scamming money out of people. Who else we got here? So down here in the A list, the insufferable libtards. Who's this one over here? Who's this one, Crab? All the way to the left, right next to this fucker. See, look at the laser eyes. Okay, look at this dumb shit. All right. If you're new to Twitter, or if you're new to social media, and you see people with these laser eyes, this is like their business card for I am a shit lib, right? Oh, Dylan Burns, that's the guy. That's Dylan. Okay, yeah. So this is Chaotic Socialist and Frank. They're more like what they call G Hive. G Hive is like this guy Jeff from Miami, who's just like this insufferable Bernie bro. Yeah, you gotta get a picture of him up there too. I know Crab said this is like still a work in progress. This Garfield person is Dave the Bronx Bull, and he actually lives in Westchester. He's a piece of shit. He's this guy. He's like, I'm from the Bronx. I'm like, man, you're from Westchester. Fuck off.
Actually, I do know David. I'm okay with David myself. I know David. I've known him for years from MySpace and Facebook. But he's a little more boutique leftist than myself. But I mean, yeah, we have some disagreements, but we're also cool with each other. But I don't know. He's not that bad compared to some of the folks here on this list here. I mean, there's some really horrible people on this list. I think it's funny that somebody I actually know is on this list. But anyway.
Representing the Kamala Harris crazies is Shantizi, or as I like to call her, I am cheesy. We know.
Yeah, Shantizi hates my guts. She has me blocked, and she's actually worse than Brooklyn Dad Defiant. If you can imagine somebody being worse than Brooklyn Dad Defiant, and that would be her. She is absolutely just horrible. I mean, she defends every conservative Democrat you can imagine. And I mean, she even thinks the Young Turks is too left wing and radical and revolutionary. She even thinks the Young Turks are too far left. She thinks Bernie Sanders is too far left. She thinks AOC. She thinks Elizabeth Warren's too far left. But she thinks that Joe Biden is the most wonderful president we ever had, and how awesome Kamala Harris is. And she hates Nina Turner. She hates Briahna Joy Gray. She hates Jill Stein. She hates Katie Halper. I mean, and the more corporate Democrat and the more Republican light a Democrat is, she loves them by default and lectures the left. Oh, I can't stand her. Oh, God. Can't stand her. And I'm like, oh, I'm trolling you. I mean, and she couldn't take it. So she had me blocked. It's badge of honor.
You know who this Fred Flintstone looking motherfucker is right here? Cenk Uygur. And then you got Ben Dixon. Ben Dixon never met an ass he didn't like to kiss. He's part of that Majority Report soup of idiots over there. We're just hammering on everybody. I love it. You got the serfs. The serfs they were horrible during the pandemic. You're like, this guy's falling. This guy's falling. There you got Sam Cedar, who lives in Park Slope and is a real bag of shit too. He's a super stan of the squad. Thinks that they just need 50 more years and things will be fine. Frank the Socialist. Is that who the first one is? This fool over here with the cat? I don't know who that is. And this is who is this? Matt Bender, I think. He's another one of that crew. He's one that like he broke the big story that Jimmy Dore had a burner account on Twitter. Like, really? That's the best you can do? Yeah, All American Socialist could have been on there too. I know he's gonna add him to the list, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know All American Socialist. I don't have a problem with him personally. I just don't say much when he, I disagree with him on Glenn Greenwald and Jimmy Dore. I mean, it's just like, I don't know why he hates those two guys so much. He hates them, but he comes to the same conclusion. His politics isn't really all that different. I don't get it. And that's not a slam on All American Socialists. His politics is not all that different from Jimmy Dore's or Glenn Greenwald's. I mean, he disagreed with Jimmy Dore on forced vote. I understand that, but I don't have a problem with All American Socialists. I mean, most of the time his takes are okay. Just a few takes that I profoundly disagree with, but I would say that would be true of anybody. But I definitely disagree with him on those critical areas. So anyway,
then you got Emma and Anna, the Cinderella sisters, the evil stepsisters. That's Anna without the hair bun though. So you probably didn't recognize her.
Yeah, the thing about Anna Kasparian is when she has her hair bun tight, she is angry. The tighter her hair bun is, the angrier she gets. And I'm like, well. And anyway, I'll put down the link for this is a good segment he did on it. He gave his take on what is a shit lib and what a shit lib isn't. And as I said, he had pretty good takes on it for the most part. So let's see. Let me do this here real fast here. So let's see. Let me do this real quick. All right. Okay. And I think this is probably one of the best ways to hold on a second here. Hold on a second here. This will probably be the last video I'll play, and I'm going to talk to y'all on the chat lines in a moment. If I could just find what I need to find, I'll go ahead and play it. Let's see here. Which one should I play? Well, that's the thing right there. Which video should I play? It is by Joe STFU Shitlib, and who's a good guy. I enjoy his videos a lot. So I'm trying to find it, and I'm trying to think which one should I play by him. Let's see here. Oh my. All right. Shall we do I'm trying to think which one let's see. No, I'm not gonna do that one. Let's see. Let's see. We should do this one, or yeah, we'll do this one. Yeah, we'll do this one because we'll do this one here. This is by Joe STFU Shitlib. I was going to do another one, but I think this one will work. It's a great way to probably the last video I'm going to be playing for the evening. It'll be a great way to conclude. And basically, it's this notion that Jimmy Dore's some kind of right winger, and it is a little irritating and all that, but I'll go ahead and play it and give you my take on it. So let me go ahead and do this here. And right now we're going to go ahead and I'll play it. All right, take it away.
That was Jimmy Dore endorsing Donald Trump as the anti-war option if he ends up running for re-election, I guess.
And now someone will clip this like they did last time to make it look like somehow I'm telling people to vote for DeSantis. And which I expect people to do. What I don't expect is for grown-ups to fall for it.
He avoided Trump stories like it was the plague during the Trump administration.
First thing we got right here. First of all, we have a failure to communicate. This is
Yeah, I got into an argument on the Sam Cedar comment section about a week ago over that, where there are people saying that Jimmy Dore sheep herd for the Republican Party, and they're telling me that he always tells people to vote Republican. I never heard him say vote Republican, and I given them examples of him actually criticizing Republicans. I said it's true he criticizes Democrats more than he criticizes Republicans. That's true, but he's not a sheep herder for the Republican Party. And okay, hold on a second here. All right, we'll let him continue.
This is your party. This is exactly who you guys have been since Nixon. This is the 30 years of the Southern Strategy.
Because now your main job is to fillet Republicans all day long. I hope you're having fun.
The Southern Strategy, which was invented by Richard Nixon, which was just scaring white people about black people to get them to vote for Republicans.
But over the years, his content started to shift. He never criticized Republicans.
I don't criticize Democrats because I favor Republicans. I criticize Democrats because they favor Republicans.
But the reason why Jimmy Dore is deceiving his audience is because he wants them to vote Republican.
We have a failure to communicate.
He wants them to support Donald Trump if he runs in 2024.
And now you know why you have to stop voting for Republicans and Democrats.
That's lying to your audience on purpose for money like a whore.
All he did was focus on Democrats.
Like a whore.
Nothing has changed because of Trump. But now he's going to help you out and just admit,
like a whore.
Yeah, I think that maybe you should consider supporting Republicans.
It's time to start voting third party, no matter what the third party is. You got to stop giving your vote to these two corrupt, murderous parties.
But the idea that you can sort of just quantify that Donald Trump was less pro-war than Joe Biden is just absurd. Who pulled this up?
No, Donald Trump did some shitty, horrible things during his presidency. Nobody's saying that. If you listen to Glenn Greenwald's words, there was a lot of friction with the Trump people and the so-called resistance on the Democrat side, and with the never-Trumper Republicans who worked with Trump in the administration. And that unholy trinity of these three factions of assholes that controlled America hated each other for whatever reason, and nothing could get done foreign policy-wise. So that, by accident, the world was made a little bit less dangerous because, because of that arrangement. It was not because Trump was benevolent. Anyway.
It's out of Afghanistan. I'm just interested about that question. Which president? Which president?
President Joe Biden, when pulling out of Afghanistan, while committing billions in funds to troops in Ukraine, Israel, and Somalia. So we're in forever war. It's never stopping. This is a death economy.
His whole railing against the do wobbly and not voting out of fear, the lesser of two evils, was really just to get a way to get people to not vote for the best shot at getting left-wing proposals enacted.
What the fuck?
I just don't think, what's the review?
Fuck? Are you fucking on drugs? Blunders. You're us.
He's sitting there trying to help the Republican Party in every single way like a whore. Because
yeah, Shank, and you are too with your endorsing, what's his name, Rick Caruso in Los Angeles for mayor. Man, he decided to turn Democrat because that's the only way you can get elected in L.A. Against, what's her name, Karen Bass, who's not all that great. So Bernie Sanders is wrong to go and endorse Karen Bass, but you're even more wrong to endorse someone like Rick Caruso. So, those who throw stones at glass houses.
He loves Trump so much, and he thinks he's so anti-war, like a whore.
You would think it would be 57 progressives voting against it. But that's what I mean about the flip. Now, instead of having 57 progressives vote against war, we have 57 right-wing conservatives vote against war.
I mean, if you think Jimmy Dore is a leftist at this point, you need to get your head checked. He wants to sheepdog people into the Republican Party.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't agree with every single issue and position of Jimmy Dore. I'm my own person. I don't agree with every position uttered by Briahna Joy Gray or Kyle Kulinski or Crystal Ball or by the Chapo Trap House or God knows all the other people on the online left all cross. I am my own person. I'm not going to sit there and agree with rubber stamp anything that anybody says across the spectrum. I am my own person. But the thing about it is this, is that if the objective of Jimmy Dore or Glenn Greenwald or Briahna Joy Gray, like Shank Ugert's sort of trying to imply these days, is to try to sheep herd angry Bernie bros into the Republican Party. Well, they miserably failed, because it's something y'all need to know about me. Voting Republican is never an option. So for those who claims that Jimmy Dore's trying to get people to vote Republican, if that's the aim, then he's failed in that regard. It's not true. It's fucking not true. You should be angry with the Democrats for being Republican light. Like he says, I don't criticize Democrats because I support Republicans. I criticize Democrats because they support Republicans. What is so hard to understand about that? Really? Anyway.
A whore. How you still don't think he's a con man? You just want a fake hero. I get it. Everybody wants a hero. I wanted Bernie. Bernie was my hero in 2015, 16. I know what that's like. But you got to face the music when you see who they really are. Bernie has proved over and over again he won't actually cross the establishment. So does Donald Trump.
And where's the lie in what he said there? That's true. Where's the lie? Because I believed in Bernie, and I still like Bernie, but I'm not as passionate about him anymore. I have to go and life goes on. It is what it is. I mean, I remember there was a time I thought Michael Dukakis, you can laugh, was a hero of mine. But the point is, you move on. So anyway, we have here on the chat line, and I'm going to go in a minute here, but on the chat line we have we started off with Tony C, who said happy 167th birthday to Eugene Victor Debs. And yes, happy birthday, Eugene Victor Debs. A great American he was. Dirtbag-leftist says, quote unquote, he's saying that I don't like Savvy. Well, we had that conversation before, and it's okay. I mean, you gave your reason and all that, and I mean, I understand that. I mean, but I like Savvy. Lucy, Blue Moon Red Wine says, I saw a panel advertised at New York Law. It says, what happened in the midterm democracy is at stake. Man, these people are morons. They can be. And Lucy, I'm glad to see you back online. I really am. I enjoyed the chats we've had, and enjoy seeing your tweets, and I enjoy your video commentary. So welcome back. Let's see here. BB is back, says Mortra. Yeah, well, yeah, that is sad, as I was saying earlier. He's from Pennsylvania. That's what I thought. Let's see. Neoliberal fascism pretty much is what he's about. Let's see. Doomsday shitheads. Well, they are all that. People from both parties. Hagee used to look like Bob's big boy. Isn't that the truth? Oh my. Love you, Willie. Thank you, Mosra. Thank you. Let's see here. Jesus Christ. Let's see. Nutty Yoo-hoo. Hey, Yona, how are you today? Let's see. Let's see here. Is we got the Zionist state of pure evil, BDS forever. Israel needs to stop doing what they're doing to the Palestinians. Absolutely. BB is in the midst of a corruption trial. I hope they throw the book at him. Let's see. Just made a song with Eugene Debs. I can't wait to hear it. If you're going to play it on video, hopefully you'll play it on video here on YouTube. Let's see. Biden utilized Strom Thurmond at his funeral. I remember that. Osorio Motra Megalin says hi. And let's see, Kona Bonawa. I'm so sorry about the language there. One Mogain. Boom. And let's see, we've all been propagandized. Oh, yeah, I know what that's about. Yes. Let's see. It's not anti-Semitic to treat Palestinians as human beings. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Artie says, hey, Willie. Hey, Artie, how are you? The Dems are walking into a bloodbath. It will be a bloodbath for sure. Hope you're having a great stream, my dude. It's pretty good. The beer settling in like it needs to. And Binder is still insufferable. He can be, but he's less so than some of the others on the majority report. And Hot Retarded Chicks, I'm glad to see you back. Hi, how are you doing today? So anyway, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree with what I have to say, please comment anyway. We will have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on my channel. Feel free to share the content on my channel. And let's see what else I'm going to say. Let's see what else am I going to say. Yes. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. In addition, feel free to subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, on Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. You'll see me on Rumble one of these days. Promise. I promise. So, and I need to get up to 100 subscribers to do a multi-stream. So that's part of the reason I haven't really started using Rumble as of yet. So until next time, remember to always reject corporate media, because they have absolutely nothing to offer. And remember this. Just when it comes to voting, vote your conscience, and let's go and make sure. Let's hope for the best outcome that can happen. We know it's not going to happen, but we can hope for it anyway. So until next time, I will see y'all later. Take care. Music.